To be successful, I always say you require three things. Educator in the future may become more of a mentor. You need to be passionate of what you do and do what you love.
In the golden age of artificial intelligence, are you concerned of which subject you want to choose? Are you concerned of studying computer science and being replaced by AI? Well, today I've invited a prominent figure in the Chinese University of Hong Kong to speak with us and give advice. Today, I'm honored to have Professor King from CUHK in my podcast, and I am Ho Chung of grade 10 from Diocesan Boys School.
I am Irwin King, professor from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, and also the Pro-Vice Chancellor for Education at the Chinese University of Hong Kong.
Professor King, could you tell us your role in the Chinese University of Hong Kong?
My role as a Pro-Vice Chancellor for Education is to oversee all aspects of education at CUHK. After you get admitted to CUHK, one of the first things that we do is talk about teaching and learning. So my role is ensure the quality and integrity of the teaching and learning for our faculty and our students. For students, for example, we oversee general education requirement courses that consists of language requirement. There's some other requirements that they need to take. For their GE, dialogue with nature, dialogue with humanity, for example, are the two very popular courses that they have in general education. We also look to the quality assurance of all curriculum, programs, and courses for thousands of courses that we have at CUHK. And also we look beyond that. We look into lifelong learning, for example, the continuing School of Continuing Learning, for example. And this is where we have professional courses and other type of courses that goes beyond the 4 years of school at CUHK. And these are the things that make up what I do at CUHK.
Back then, advanced computers weren't available to you. So how did you become so interested in computer science and AI?
In fact, the way that I got into computers, because I really would like to understand the brain. And, I give talks on this 3-pound universe. And the 3-pound universe is about this, our brain. Our brain, it's only about 3 pounds. And, 12 Big Mac quarter pounder. That's it. However, this brain is so intricate and so amazing. It could do so many things, and the power that you use is only a few watts. Right now the big AI is taking lots of energy, right? But the brain is actually not very fast. It's slow, and it doesn't take us so many wattage energy, but it could do amazing things. Our vision, our speech, our understanding, our thinking. So that's how I got interested in computer. Because at that time, computer were trying to simulate the brain. Okay, so if I want to know the brain, which I did, my PhD thesis was about simulating the visual cortex of the brain. Nonetheless, I got interested in the computer because the computer was trying to, again, mimic what the brain could do, right? We have memory, we have CPU, processing units, we have IOs, for example, we have sensory inputs, just like a human. So that's how I got into it. In fact, I remember clearly my first computer was the Apple II Plus. Okay, at that time, it was amazing. We only have 48K of memory, and we had to add 16K of memory, which cost lots of money, into 64K. You can't even buy a thumb drive with 64K these days. But anyway, so I got interested in computer science because I want to understand the intricacies about the brain, and I thought computer and the brain were very, very similar in that respect.
You studied at Caltech and USC during your university years. So what do you find to be a major difference between the education system in Hong Kong and the US?
I think by and large, many things are very similar in terms of the curricula. We're also a four-year institution now, very similar to a US type. We were following the UK for a long, long time, 3 years college, but now we're 4 years. I think there are some fundamental things maybe slightly different that I could talk about. I think one thing is I think US is a little more interdisciplinary and has perhaps more freedom for you to explore things in terms of credit system, and it allows a lot more new type of program to be created. And I think also the way that they train is more on case study, more on getting the student to be interactive. So get students do presentation, for example, project space, and so on and so forth. While I think here, perhaps a little more performance oriented, assessment oriented, so that you would try to achieve certain scores, for example. But maybe the U.S. system is a little more on the criterion. They want to see whether you have those capability instead of just a number. So in U.S. you have a lot more also avenue for you to explore. So a very large university, a lot more, perhaps even majors or even faculties. I think these are some of the basic maybe differences between the system here in Hong Kong and in US.
People say that as AI gets more advanced, like for example, LLMs have teaching mode now. So what is the education industry doing to ensure that they adapt to the current AI age?
That's an excellent question. I think having a LLM, for example, large language model, it's really taking the knowledge part of the educator, okay, out of the equation, right? So you basically, instead of before, you have like a search engine where you still have to search for knowledge. Right now, you could ask LM to prepare lessons and topics and so on and so forth. And like you say, a teaching mode that you could actually feed in knowledge so that it could understand. I think teacher will become less quote unquote knowledge dependent in that sense. Teacher does not necessarily need to know everything, unlike before. Before you almost have to be the master or the expert in that particular field. But I think the educator in the future may become more of a mentor, a facilitator, a coach in that sense. You might not know everything, but you know how to curate, how to select the topic and select the material and the knowledge for a particular set of students. Every student is different, and we don't want to have a cookie cutter type of teaching and learning. We want to be able to, so teacher is almost, the analogy is almost like, the teacher could be like a doctor treating each patient differently, but understanding what type of, medicine and what type of treatment is best for that particular person, because that particular person is different from a person to another person. So education, to me, is to not only the knowledge, but is to empower and to inspire students to learn. I think that aspect will never change. I was inspired by my high school English literature teacher because he was passionate about the subject of English poems, for example. And this has a very deep impression. For LLM, I don't think that it will inspire people the same way that my high school teacher inspired me. And I think that for that aspect, knowledge aspect definitely, but not the human factor in teaching and learning. And I'm hoping that the future educator will possess even more ways to inspire and empower students.
So you believe that passion and inspiration is the most important part of a teacher?
I think it's not the only part, but I think that it's very important.
Yep.
Is the attitude, is the inspiration to challenge student, to inspire the student to do better, to do what they couldn't do before. And I think this is our responsibility as educator is to inspire and empower.
The CS graduate unemployment rate is getting higher and higher in the US. So, do you believe that studying CS is still a very viable option for my friends or my classmates who want to study the subject?
Another good question. I understand lots of entry-level programming job have been removed because we know we have vibe coding now. You can actually prompt and to get programs out these days, so you don't need entry-level programmers. But nonetheless, I think CS is not only about programming. It's really about logical thinking, analytic capabilities, and so on and so forth. I think that good CS student will possess all those not only the knowledge, but the skill, and also the attitude to be successful in the future. And I think that knowledge aside, so right now, if you just look at the knowledge in terms of programming, lots of job will be lost. But you have the skill, communication skill, you may have the teamwork skill, and so on and so forth, and also the right attitude, being optimistic, being really enthusiastic, being passionate, having lifelong type of learning. That will actually help you to maybe transform yourself from a technical person to a technical salesperson or technical market person. So I think that there are still different channels. I mean, when you exit as a computer science student, it doesn't mean that you have to do programming. There are many, many things that we actually do, right? To become an educator like me, that's also another viable way for your career development.
Are CS programs in the CUHK or the tertiary educations overseas doing anything to adapt to this new AI age?
Yeah, we're doing everything that we can, introducing new components to our, say, digital literacy course. So we are incorporating AI material in there. We are actually considering having a vibe coding course. So really catching up with what the industry is doing, and hoping that this will equip our students to better face the job market when they exit, right? So these are many of the things, and also we also use tools, for example, to help people write better, program better, but we also use assessment tools for teachers. So we use tools like AI writing detector, because our policy allows students to use AI tools in some situation, but not in others. So we want to make sure that we keep track and we have a check and balance between the use of AI, okay, and the abuse of AI, okay. So we want to make sure that they use but not abuse of AI.
AGI or artificial general intelligence has been mentioned a lot in the recent days. Yep. And as intelligent robotics and AGIs gets more and more advanced, what are the necessary skills that we should equip ourselves and in order to let us face this incoming challenge?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. I think one of the things that I'm currently working on as a researcher is trustworthy AI. And trustworthy AI is about, privacy, security, robustness, accountability, interpretability, explainability of AI. And this is really becoming more and more important. I mean, we could build systems. We could build good system, and we could build really a system that will abuse policies. For example, we could build really great weapons as well, right? So one of the things that I think I'm more and more concerned is how do you construct trustworthy AI systems, whether it's the LLM, so when you ask a question like, how do I make a bomb? It will say, no, I will not be able to actually share that information with you. But there are some other ethical issues, when you're building other systems that you need to also take that into consideration. So building an AGI, now we don't know whether that could ever come. Some people say it will never be here. Some people say it will be here very shortly. But regardless of whether it's going to be here or not, I think we need to always looking at how would AI bring a positive and meaningful impact to the society, not to harm its people. Because, even building a robot, the robot could be so much more powerful than a human, right? So if the robot is being abused to do bad things, it's very easy for them to destroy humanity. So this is something that I'm deeply concerned to a point that I want to do things to make sure security, privacy, robustness, and all that is being translated into a policy, and that policy will be monitoring procedures and also other things that follows.
Is there anything you want to say to us high school students to encourage them to study in CS or other subjects in the field?
Okay, I don't want to just encourage students to study one particular subject. My word of wisdom is, you need to be passionate of what you do. So you need to really love what you do and do what you love. And not only to the student, I think to the parents too, is to allow, I think, students these days the freedom to explore, to investigate. To be successful, I always say you require three things. One is the knowledge that you could actually obtain from university and online these days. You probably get it from online. Your second thing is skill. Your skill of how do you collaborate with other people? How do you communicate with other people? Those things you learn from your friends, and so on and so forth. And last thing I think is most critical is your attitude, because your attitude will determine your altitude, how high you're going to go. And to be a successful student, not only a high school student, a college student, I recommend that the attitude of being passionate about something, being curious about something, and that courage to pursue. Those are the great attitude that one should possess in order for you to be successful. And that attitude really comes from family. That's your upbringing. Whether you have the courage and the passion and the creativity and the lifelong passion to do something like that. I think that's really to be a successful student. Not only in CS, not only in any particular subject, but all subjects and all students.
Professor King, that was a very insightful conversation with you, and thank you for your time. Thank you for watching HC's podcast. If you enjoyed this video and want to get more valuable insights, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.